Okay, I couldn't really think of anything new and clever for the intro for this one, so we're gonna bring back an old classic for chapter 1051. Spoilers, by the way, because I guess we have a new Straw Hat now. Therefore, I think a Tekking tumble is the best way to celebrate this momentous occasion. However, this isn't going to be your ordinary Tekking tumble. No, much like the MCU, this is going to be in phases, okay? Phase 1, move the chair. Phase 2, move the beanbag chair. Phase 3, whoa, I almost stepped on the hole there. Phase 3, ah! Ow! Oh, crap. Oh, I dented my wall, like, really bad. Oh, my God. Ow. I think I might have sprained something, too. Ow. Oh, man, I'm getting old, man. I'm 29 now. I can't keep doing this. Oh, yeah, that's a dent on my wall. I will, I'll take, I'll show you that later in post. There you go. There you go. You know what? Yamato, you better join the damn Straw Hats now, okay? I swear to God, Oda, in the next chapter, if it's some crap like Luffy wakes up and he's like, Yamato joining my crew, I never said that, you're not allowed to, and then Yamato is just sad Yamato and then just walks away. No, there is a dent in my wall now that is going to be there forever because Yamato joined this crew. So that better stand for all time, okay? Ugh. Oh, man. All right, so anyway, that was, that's a good intro. That's a good intro. You know what? It's my new office. It was going to get some damage at some point. What's funny is back at my my mom's house, right? Her boyfriend came down to kind of fix up the place and stuff, and there were so many katana like scratches on my bedroom ceiling from when I got like Ichigo's sword and like scratching it up. So he had to like paste and like fix all of that, and it was just like yeah, that's how that goes, So yeah, a dent in the wall. That would probably be one of many. All right. Well, anyway, let's get right into it. Why not? Okay, so chapter 1051. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are jumping right to the gun that, like, Yamato is joining the Straw Hats. Like, 100% this is happening. The new Straw Hat is here, okay? I would argue, by the way, Jinbei, he's still pretty much the new Straw Hat or whatever. And it was actually Jinbei that brought it up, because Yamato introduces herself to the rest of the crew. First time properly meeting all of them. And she says, oh, my name is Kozuki Oden, but you could just call me Yamato, and I'm going to be journeying with you on your ship from now on. Now, as you would imagine, Sanji and Brooke, they're completely happy with this turn of events. Robin seems amused by it. I think she was just like, oh, you're so funny. So, I think Robin would get along with Yamato. Jinbei was the one that, he wasn't, like, against it. He wasn't like, no way in hell. But, Yamato, Jinbei was basically like to Yamato, like, well, I don't have a problem with you or anything. You seem like a good person. It's just that that's a decision that Luffy has to make. You can't just invite yourself on the crew. Meanwhile, Robin's in the background like, this is like, it worked for me, And that's actually something to bring up right away, is that Yamato joining is actually remarkably similar to when Robin joined the crew, remember? Because after the events of Alabasta, Robin just stowed away on the Mary, and they were sailing away from Hina and everybody, and then after they got away from Alabasta, Robin's just there making some tea, and everyone's talking, didn't even know she was there, and then there's like, oh my god, Robin's on the ship, Miss All Sunday, Danger Alert Red or whatever, and Usopp's running around, and then she's just there like, I guess I'm joining your crew now because you destroyed, I used to live there at Alabasta at Baroque Works. You basically demolished the organization that was like housing me and stuff. So, it's your responsibility that I join your crew now. That's how that goes. Robin maybe playing some mind games with Luffy. I think she figured out at that point, like, how to manipulate Luffy in that respect. So Luffy's like, you know what? Actually, that's a good point. Okay, welcome to the crew. So, that would be really funny if Luffy wakes up in the next chapter and is like, hey, Yamato says, she's part of the crew now. And Luffy's like, I never said that. You can't just invite me. You just can't invite yourself on the crew. And then Usopp, like, taps Luffy's shoulder. He's like, well, actually, that's how Robin joined, remember? And Luffy's like, oh, yeah, right. But, Robin is cool, so it's okay. Just cuts over to Robin, and she's like, she's like, yep, that would be so out of character for her. It's like, yeah, well, Robin's cool, so it works. And I'm like, Yep, absolutely. Okay. Right. So I think that it's a pretty good shot that Yamato will join. I think that Oda might throw us a little bit of a curveball, though. I don't think it's going to be as simple as just Luffy waking back up and just like, hey, is Yamato part of the crew? And Luffy's like, huh? Oh, yeah, Yamato, you're part of my crew. Why not, right? Although I will say also, that would really fit in the structure of the Kabuki play that Wano is based off of. Because even though, well, some Kabuki plays are in 3 acts and some are in 5, I'm just assuming this is going to be one of the ones that is in 3 acts because, you know, there's no way we're going to Act 4 and then Act 5 at this point. Unless Act 4 lasts 2 chapters and Act 5 acts, like, last 1, which could be a case because the traditional way of how a Kabuki play ends, which would be the end of the Wano arc proper, is a very expedited, you know, just like, oh, it's like, okay, the action is over, the big bad is defeated, that's great, moving on, end of play, okay? And the last few chapters of Wano have really been fitting that description, where in just the last chapter we had the big moment where the entire nation all at once learned about the battle. They learned that Kaido and Orochi have been defeated. Momonosuke makes his appearance as an adult. He raises Ame no Habakiri up to the sky, and he declares himself, I am the son of Kozuki Oden. I am the new shogun, Kozuki Momonosuke. My name means second to none, as my father gave it to me. I will guide Wano into a new hope and a new light for the future. And then he walks into the palace with the scabbards flanking him, and everybody's cheering, okay? And that it was a big deal, but it didn't get stretched out or anything. It happened over just 1 chapter. Boom, Momo's the shogun now. It's set up, okay? So if Luffy were to just wake right back up and say, oh yeah, Yamato, you're part of my crew, now let's get out of here, and they just leave, that would fit, all right? So that's just how it goes. But I think there might be a little bit of a curveball thrown in here, just due to the fact of the reason why Yamato is joining the crew or wants to join the crew. With Robin, it was similar, but there were differences. Like, for example, like, Robin, you know, well, like, the whole situation was like, oh, okay, yeah, she really didn't have another place to go because she was wanted by the government, and Crocodile was basically protecting her to make sure that, you know, she was part of that organization and not the government. You know, they didn't find out about her and everything. And now Robin really was in a bind because it's like, you know, I can't just go out there on my own, you know, they'll capture me. So, you know, it's because of you destroyed Crocodile's operations and stuff. You have to let me join. Yamato is not in the same boat. In fact, if anything, Yamato is actually free here more so than she ever was because Kaido is now defeated. Yamato could choose to stay in Wano and help Momonosuke and Hiyori and the Scabbards, and that would be perfectly fine. Or she could decide to leave the island and go wherever she wants, and that would be fine too. You know, she's no longer restricted or chained down by Kaido, right? However, there are some problems with that. Obviously, she wants to get out of Wano properly. She has been on Onigashima her entire life, and so going to mainland Wano would be probably a little bit different. But, you know, oh, actually, no, she was allowed to leave because, well, this was back when she was a kid because she was present during Oden's execution, right? So she's been on mainland Wano before, but probably not in, like, the last, you know, few decades, you know, ever since Kaido chained her up and everything. So she's been in mainland Wano, but that's probably not good enough for her. She wants to see the world, okay? And the whole point of this is that Ace made her a promise that he would return someday, and then Yamato would travel on Ace's ship, and then Ace ended up dying. Okay, so Yamato just, you know, was like, okay, well, Ace has his little brother, Luffy, that he always talked about, that he's a great pirate or going to be a great pirate someday. So whenever Luffy inevitably shows up to Wano, then of course I will join his crew. Like, this is my last chance, my last shot to, you know, the promise that Ace made me to be carried out, okay? Now, I think Luffy, I could see him kind of 2 directions with this. I could see him being like, okay, my big brother made you a promise, and I'm going to carry on his will by fulfilling that promise. So I could see it going from that direction, and I can also see it from, like, the direction of Luffy being like, you know, that was Ace, that wasn't me. You know, I'm his little brother, and I loved him and everything, but, like, you know, it's sort of like how when Luffy first saw the Vivre card of Ace burning away at Thriller Bark, he didn't immediately go to rescue him because Luffy's perspective was, you know, Ace is having his own adventure, that's his own thing, you know, I don't have to get involved with that, I'm doing something else, I'm doing my own adventure, okay? So it's possible Luffy might take umbrage with, like, okay, just because Ace is my brother and he made a promise to you doesn't mean I'm responsible for carrying out that promise, okay? There's also the whole angle where Luffy might not be receptive to the fact that Yamato is claiming to be Odin, and so Luffy might be like, I don't want Odin on my crew, but if Yamato, you want to join, it might be a situation like that might come up. I'm not really sure. So, yeah. But I think the chances are definitely very solid that maybe there might be a chapter where they discuss these issues, like, okay, Ace's promise, and then Yamato stating that she is Kozuki Odin and everything, like what it means to be a pirate, what it means to be a Straw Hat pirate more specifically. So it might be a situation like that where most of the next chapter, or maybe one of the next chapters, whenever Luffy wakes back up, will be like a heated discussion, like an argument between Luffy and Yamato, and the rest of the Straw Hats might chime in to give their own opinions on the matter. Like Jinbei will discuss, his thoughts on the matter if Zoro is conscious again. I think Luffy's going to wake up before Zoro, though, because Zoro was in a really bad way. You'll, of course, have Sanji and Brook in the background, like, please, Luffy, let Yamato join. And it's just like, then maybe you get Nami's take on it, Frankie's take on it, but at the end of the day, it'll be Luffy's decision. And so I think it might be like a heated discussion, but the end of that chapter will have, like, Luffy inviting Yamato on the crew. I think that will occur. I also think Yamato will basically be like the chronicler of their adventure, just like how Odin kept the logbook for his journey with Whitebeard and then Roger's crew later, and like the arriving at Laugh-Tale. It would be very fitting for Yamato to keep her own journal, so maybe leave Odin's journal behind with Momo because he's going to need it, and then Yamato has a blank book basically. Maybe Momonosuke could give Yamato's like, oh well, here's a blank notebook that you could use as your own log journal, and then Yamato's like, really happy about that. And then, they can go out to sea and then, chronicle everything like, okay, now we're leaving Wano, now we're landing at Elbaf, and now we're going to Lodestar, now we're at Laugh-Tale. It is near the end of the adventure, though, because we don't have that many islands left. So there might only be a few more islands the Straw Hats arrive at, so Yamato is skipping over most of this adventure. Well, anyway, this is just the journey to get to the One Piece. Roger did not stop journeying after reaching Lodestar Island. He was still journeying all over the world. So, I don't know. There might be a situation where after the Straw Hats reach Laugh-Tale, find the One Piece, Luffy might disassemble the crew, might just like disengage the Straw Hat pirates, like they're a robot or something. Well, kind of, Frankie anyway. But it's like they all leave, but they always like come back together every so often, get the band back together to go on another journey, and then Yamato will be the chronicler for all of that. Might be a situation like that. Here's another question. What would Yamato's bounty be? There's something right there. Just because Yamato being chained up on Onigashima for most of her life probably does not have an active bounty. I don't even know if the Marines or the world government even know about Yamato's existence, okay? But, if she leaves, journeys with the Straw Hats, there might be rumors, like maybe the Marines or maybe the world government, maybe the Cypher Pole Zero agent that went back to the world government heard a rumor. I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, Yamato's been causing, chaos while in Onigashima. Maybe the rumors existed for a while that Kaido has a son, okay, but they don't know the whole situation with Yamato, okay? So it may be a little bit confused, but then they'll find out definitively, yeah, Kaido has a daughter, Yamato, and she's really powerful, and now she's journeying with the Straw Hat Pirates, the blood of Kaido. So if that was found out right there, Yamato's bounty, I feel like with everything leading up to it, I feel like it would have to be at least $1 billion, right? Like, all of the Straw Hats bounties are going to go through the roof. I've said this before. I am overestimating their bounties like crazy because every other time I've tried to guess the bounties after a story arc has finished, I always, like, lowball it, okay? I think I said something like Luffy's bounty is going to be, like, not even $1 billion after Totland, and then, boom, it shoots up to 1.5. So you know what? I'm not playing around anymore, okay? Luffy's bounty is going to be 5.6 billion. Zoro's going to be 3 billion something. Sanji's going to be 3 billion something. Yamato's can also be 3 billion something. Actually, you know what? Yamato's is going to be 4 billion, okay? What's Kaido's again? Oh, I ripped it down. I don't remember. Kaido's was like 4,600,000,000 and 100, something thousand berries or something. It was over 4 billion, right? And he had the highest bounty in the world of the active pirates that are still out there, but Luffy defeated him. Not only that, you also have to keep in mind the story that might reached the government's ears is that Luffy spearheaded an operation that took out not just Kaido, but Big Mom. 2 emperors at once. Now, of course, Law was involved in this, Eustace Kid was involved in this, all the samurai, the minks were involved in this, the scabbards, obviously. But it might be a situation like at Totland, where, yeah, Beiji sort of had this whole plan to take down Big Mom, but Luffy sort of ended up getting all the credit for it, just like the breakout at Impel Down. Yeah, Crocodile, Jinbei, Ivankov, they were all involved, but who ended up getting most of the credit for that breakout at Impel Down? It was Luffy and Buggy, right? So, Luffy got most of the accolades for, trying to take down Big Mom at Totland. And I'm sure Beiji's bounty went up too, but Luffy was the one deemed by Stussy to be like the wild card, okay? And so now here he is again, right after leaving Totland, finishing the job with Big Mom, and then also taking out Kaido for good measure, all right? So the concept of Luffy's bounty reaching over 5 billion, standing with the best of them, of Whitebeard and Roger himself. It's not a crazy idea to think that his bounty might get that high, all right? 5.6 billion, which would put him over Roger's bounty. That might be stretching it a bit. The reason I say 5.6 is because Luffy's numbers is 56, because Gumu, and the way it can be read, okay? And we see Luffy wearing shirts like when he was a kid that say 56 on it. That's kind of the joke. It's a pun. It's a number gag, a number pun, and Oda loves that stuff, okay? So 56 would make sense. And then when he becomes the Pirate King, screw it, 10 billion or whatever, right? Dragons might be still higher than that. It's just that Dragon is a revolutionary, and Dragon was revealed to be the most wanted man in the world. Actually, that would be a cool way to spin it, where Luffy's bounty is revealed to be like over 5 billion. I'm not going to say over Roger's bounty, but let's say Luffy's new bounty is over 5 billion, or maybe 5 billion even. So it's still technically lower than Whitebeard's or Roger's, but it's right up there, okay? And then everyone's freaking out over this bounty, like, holy crap, Luffy, 5 billion berries? And then maybe somebody could mention, like Nami or Brook or Usopp, somebody could bring up, like, Luffy, holy shit, you might legitimately have the highest bounty in the world right now, because Whitebeard and Roger are dead. And so maybe then Robin could speak up and be like, actually, he doesn't. It's very close, but Luffy, your dad, is actually the most wanted man in the world right now, and he's not a pirate, he's a revolutionary, so he's not counted in the same vein, and his bounty is 6 billion, or 7 billion, or something, or maybe 10 billion, who knows, right? So that would actually be a very interesting way to showcase Luffy's bounty and how, like, insane it is, but then transition over to be like, well, he's not the highest yet. He's maybe the second or third, but it's actually Dragon that's at the very top. In fact, it might be a situation where Luffy might have the second highest in the world, and then Dragon might have the highest. And then that will lead more into the next arc. Maybe it'll focus on the revolutionaries a little more and dealing with Sabo and stuff. Who knows what the next story arc of One Piece would be. The Straw Hats are most likely going to go to Elbaf next, but there might be another arc in between. We don't know. Yeah. So I kind of went off on a tangent there talking about Luffy's new bounty, but if that's Luffy's new bounty, which I'm overestimating to say is going to be 5 billion, it's going to be insane. Zoro, Sanji, Yamato, Jinbei, all of the heaviest hitters now on the Straw Hats. We now have not a monster trio or a monster quartet, we have a monster quintet now. Seriously, we have Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei, yeah, former Warlord of the Sea, his bounty is going to be over 1 billion for sure. And then Yamato, son of Kaido, super powerful in her own right. That's going to be, like that group together is going to be insanely powerful. And that's going to be needed because we're going to be getting into battles with admirals probably in this endgame. We're going to be dealing with Blackbeard's crew. Rocks might come back for all we know. We're dealing with some really powerful opponents. We're going to need some upgrades to the Straw Hats. Okay, Frankie needs to get back in the workshop and start making, Frankie Shogun Model 39 or whatever. He's got to add some nukes on that thing or something. You know what I mean? Like, they have to start getting to work. Usopp has to make a climb attack for Nami that can stretch even further and was even more phallic shaped than any other design before this, damn it. It's got to be insane, right? Robin's got to master her Demonio. Chopper's got to learn his, uber monster points. It's like a monster point beyond all the other ones. Usopp's got to perfect collect, the pop greens, make some like crossbred pop green, taking all the most dangerous pop greens, throwing them all into a garden, and this like evil devil demon plant from hell, like the Asmodeus plant, erupts, and he's like, okay, I get one shot with this, and it's like the devil plant that like kills everything if it gets hit. It's basically like the horseman of like pestilence hitting an island or something, right? Let's see. Frankie, new robot. What can Brook do? Brook needs to learn how to master his Yomi Yomi no Mi, to summon that like giant evil form of himself that appeared over the chess soldiers at Totland. He needs to know how to do that with like anybody. That would be really cool. The ice powers to like the next level to freeze like everything around him. Sanji needs to learn Ifrit Janbei to master that even more. He already used it against Queen, but like, to bring it to the next level. Maybe Sanji could light his whole body on fire. Who knows? That'll be his final technique. And Zoro just needs to master his Enma, and maybe he's like, oh, maybe when he saw the Grim Reaper, Zoro like actually fought him and then like grabbed the Grim Reaper and like threw it into Enma. He's like, you work for me now. It's like now Zoro has Enma and the Sandai Kitetsu. Maybe the Grim Reaper's in the Sandai, So he has the Wado Ichimonji that reminds him of his childhood friend Kuina. But then he has the Sandai, which has the Grim Reaper in it, and then he has Enma, which is the Guardian of Hell. Yeah, that's pretty fitting, right? Absolutely. Okay. But yeah, then Jinbei, Jinbei's already pretty tough, so he can get stronger for sure. But I think Jinbei's pretty set. And then Yamato, I think we've already displayed, Mythical Zone. Oh, by the way, by that logic, we would also have 2 characters on the Straw Hats that have Mythical Zones now, right? And so I was saying it might have been Marco. Marco might explain the Mythical Zone thing to Luffy. But now that Yamato is most likely going to join, perhaps Yamato will be the one to like discuss this with Luffy. Like, oh, I have a mythical zone, and your ability seems a lot like a mythical zone as well. Although Yamato did mention in the last chapter that, she was worried about Luffy. She saw the new form Luffy was in, and it didn't seem like Yamato immediately knew what it was, okay? But maybe after Luffy goes into it again, or maybe explains it to the Straw Hats, like exactly what that form Gear 5th took, maybe Yamato would be like, that's an awakened zone, Luffy, and then maybe they can, explain that and go into more detail there. We would have 2 characters on the Straw Hats that have ice abilities now, though. Brook's ability is ice-based, and then Yamato's ability is also ice-based. So would that conflict with anything? I mean, it's different kinds of ice techniques, right? Like, Brook's is channeling the power of the underworld itself into the mortal realm, that's that. And then Yamato is just a really powerful mythical wolf. So there we are as well. That has the ability to manipulate ice, and it's a little bit different. It's sort of like when Brook joined, and Brook is like, well, Brook is a swordsman, but Zoro's also a swordsman. 2 swordsmen on the crew. Different types of swordsmanship, though. Zoro uses katanas. Brook uses a fencing, like saber or whatever. It's a different kind of, fighting, right? Or a cane sword, I should say. So, yeah, I think Yamato's going to join. Really excited on seeing where this is going to go. I certainly hope it's not a situation where somebody joins the crew and then they get nerfed a little bit, as is the case with Robin. I feel like Robin got nerfed a little bit after she joined initially. Now she's pretty badass, but now it's like all the enemies are getting stronger, so it's like, oh, okay, she's more or less got the strength back that she displayed before, but now she joined, and so it's like, oh, okay, it's like not as powerful, but whatever. I think it's the case with Yamato as well, that Yamato will be a perfect addition to the Straw Hat crew as Robin was. Okay, well, anyway, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and now we're getting into horse facts. That's right. Cue the intro.
Tekking talks about horses.
All right, so we're finally talking about the Arabian horse, the Arabian stallion, which is probably the single most famous, at least famous racing horse in the entire world. They date to around 4,500 years ago when they showed up. They actually appeared in cave art around 3,500 years ago. So we found like cave art of Arabian horses that look pretty remarkably like Arabian horses like that still do today, that still exist today. So that gives you an idea of how long they've been around. However, they have been like crossbred with other horses throughout the years. So the modern day Arabian horse that exists, most people think that happened around 200 years ago, okay? There were even records and artwork of Arabian stallions back during the 16th century in Egypt, which was right around the time 16th century BC in Egypt, I should say. And that was during the time when the Hyksos were actually invading at the end of the Middle Kingdom into the Second Intermediate period, right? It was a time of conflict in Egypt where Hyksosian rule actually had at the, Lower Egypt actually ruled over that. And so they had horses and chariots. And so that was when horses were properly like introduced into Egypt in a big way. So it would make sense that, they would show up in artwork around that time period, around the 16th century or thereabouts, okay? Let's see. Most modern breeds today of horse have some degree of Arabian horse in them, in their blood, okay? Just because of how it all worked out and how they were such like a prominent and famous and popular breed, okay? They have a very good temperament. They were essentially bred to be really well-mannered around humans. So kind of like how the same way dogs were bred to be, really good companions to humans, kind of the same way with the Arabian horse, okay? Because they were so useful to humans, it's a good idea to breed them with the idea of like being chill around humans and having a good even temperament. Some of their bones are actually, well, not the way that they develop is actually like they have less ribs and less tail bones than most other race horses, just because the way they were bred for that reason. They have a very slender frame, as you can see. Most famous people like ever during warfare, like commanders and generals, have had Arabian stallions before and rode them into battlefield. Napoleon, Genghis Khan, George Washington, Alexander the Great. Man, that was the reason that he was called Alexander the Great. He was just Alexander, but then he got on top of that Arabian stallion and rode it to conquer all of the Persian Empire. And it's like, okay, all right, we're gonna say Alexander the Great, maybe like 10% because he conquered all of the Persian Empire, but 90% because that was a damn awesome horse he rode in on. There you go. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Those are the Arabian stallions. We have a few more horse facts left, and then we'll move on to the letter I. Oh, man, the letter I. Can I even think of an animal that starts with the letter I? Ibex or Ibex, but we already talked about that with goat facts, so yeah. Animal that starts with the letter I. Iguana! We could do iguana facts. That would be fun. That's the only one I'm thinking of right now. Anyway, we'll see. Comment down below. A few more horse facts, and then we'll move on. Thanks for watching. Signing out.